Hi everyone, it's me again. As I got the camera out, I thought I'd do another build vlog for the Gloomspite Gitz. I haven't done one for a while. I think this one may be number 4. I can't remember the last time I showed you these figures. So a week has gone by. I didn't get a game on Sunday because I didn't get the army completed. I have got one booked in for this coming Sunday though. So whether the army is completely painted or not, I will be playing. And Sam at the local Games Workshop has kindly said that one of the staff will run through the first game with me, so I can get to learn the rules a bit before actually playing somebody else somebody else who's taking part in the league, just another customer. So the first thing I wanted to show you was these stabbers. As you can see, they've progressed quite a bit. Some of them are completed in that they are fully painted and based. I may add some mushrooms to the bases. I'd like to do that just to finish them off a bit. But most of the unit is painted at least. There are some shields that still require the yellow for the moon. The only other thing I want to do as well, is do like a yellow orange wash on the moon just to give it a bit of detail, similar to this standard bearer. I want to try and replicate the moon that I did there. I don't know whether he's showing up too well on this camera. Let me just get my hand behind him. No, I don't think he is, but you get the idea. There we go. It decided to focus. So yeah, something like that. The only paints I've used on the figures are only contrast paints. I have not used any normal acrylic paints. The sword, for instance, is the what's it called, Black Templar contrast paint. What I did was I added some contrast medium to thin it down, so to try and give it the impression that it's actually metal. It didn't work too bad. It's not too bad, and I've tried to do that on the spears as well for the normal guys. I'm not 100% happy with using contrast paints. I don't know whether this guy. So, for instance, if you look, this is possibly one of the best cloaks, habits, if you like, that I've done, where you can see that the contrast paint has done what it needs to do. It's stayed in the recesses, it's come away from the highlighted parts, and it's kind of give a washed out impression on the normal level stuff. So that's what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, I didn't quite get that result on all of them. Some of them are too washed out, and some I accidentally thought that a second coat would make it better. What it does, if I just grab one of those figures, so what it actually does is it gives you possibly one of the best finishes of a black I have ever had. 2 coats of Black Templar, and that's the result you get, and it goes on really nice. And then, as I say, that second coat just gives it such a lovely solid colour. Really like it. The other thing about the contrast paints that I'm not particularly enjoying, and one of the reasons why it's taking me so long to paint these figures, is that tidying up on the figures. If you go over with, as I've mentioned before, if you go over with one colour like a red on the base colour, which is a wraith bone, but you need to paint another colour where that red is splodged over, you have to tidy up. You have to go paint some wraith bone over the red to make sure it's that colour before proceeding. And it's a really neat process you have to do. And unlike acrylic paints, you can get away with, if you go over with one colour, you just paint over it with an acrylic paint with most of them. Obviously things like yellow and white may be an issue, but you know, putting a green paint over something you've accidentally painted blue is not really an issue. So it's the tidy aspect of contrast paints that's doing my fruit a bit. I'll show you the other units because I have made some progress on 2 of those as well. Okay, so the next unit is the rock trolls. Now these are supposed to be hues of blue. Again, I've only used contrast paints. I really like the brown. I can't remember what it's called now. I'll have to try and let you know what it is. The dark brown that I've used, I really like that. It really gives a nice contrast, I suppose, to the wood finishes where you've got the darker elements in the recesses, the lightest elements on the highlighted parts, and then the standard wood brown finish on the normal areas. Another brown that I've used for skulls is Skeleton Horde, I think it's called, and again that gives a really nice finish for bone and things like that. So these guys have had some paint on them, as you can see. Once they've all had the paint applied, I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I will just leave them and move on to do something else. What I may do with this whole army is revisit it after this tournament and just do some repaint. I may even use normal acrylic paint on some of the parts and then dry brush highlights. For instance, on the stone skin effect, I don't think, because I gave it 2 coats again, I think I've kind of given too much paint to those areas. There isn't the highlighted effect on the top, and I think I would be good to come in with a light blue and just dry brush over that to give it that highlight effect. So that's that unit. So the next unit is the squigs from one of the squig herds. Initially these work really well. I used Blood Angels contrast paint, and I just painted it on, and it did really well, went into the recesses and did all it was supposed to do. The only issue, as I mentioned, is that because I was doing it quite quickly, I wasn't doing it neat enough, and consequently the red went on the areas like the teeth, and we've got some gum lines as well where it was on there, so I've had to go around with a thin brush and paint wraith bone on those areas I went over, and that really slowed me down. But that getting there, there isn't much to do on this unit with regards to the squigs. Obviously I've still got to do the 2 herder figures at the back there, so there's those. So here are my characters minus the loon boss who sits on the back of the cave squig. As you can see, there's no paint on these at all. I haven't got a wide range of paints, the contrast paints, so it's scratching my head a bit to see what colours I need to use. This guy in particular is very colourful, if you remember, so I haven't got any purples, for instance, so I don't know whether to try and quickly grab one later this week from my local model shop, Mike's Models, and before I start work on him. The K-Squig is all over red, so that should be quite straightforward to do, and if I do it neat enough, then I may not have to keep tidying things up. So the final unit for this army is another squig herd. Now Joseph, my son, saw this figure here, and he asked me if I could paint it up as is it Slimer or whatever from Ghostbusters. So I did attempt that and unfortunately failed. It's more yellow than green. What I said to him is that once I finish the army and finish the league, what I'll probably do is use a green wash to try and get that yellow to become a greener hue, and see if we can make it look a bit better. So this is quite a long hobby vlog. They're not supposed to be these long. It's supposed to be like 2 or 3 minutes just going through what I've done, but there's a lot to catch up on. So I will try and make them more regular. I've got tomorrow, so I've got part of tonight now, Tuesday night. I've got all Wednesday night, all Thursday night, all Friday night, Saturday, and then I've got the game at 12 o'clock on Sunday. So I do feel as if I'm up against it a bit, but we'll see how we progress during the week. Anyway guys, thanks ever so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Look after yourselves and I'll catch up with you soon.